Hello, my name is Nathan Metcalf, and the research question that I will be asking today is how does the consumption of ultra-processed foods affect our cardiovascular biomarkers? So right off the bat, I bet most of you probably know someone who has been diagnosed with a cardiovascular disease or has even died from a major cardiovascular event. For me personally, I can say I know multiple people in my friend group around me and in my family that have experienced a cardiovascular disease at some point in their life. This is likely because CVD is the #1 cause of death in the United States and in the world. In 2016, there were 17.9 million lives taken by cardiovascular disease worldwide. There's some confusion when it comes to what exactly an ultra-processed food is. In essence, a food starts out whole like a tomato and can be considered processed when it is broken down into salsa and ingredients such as sodium are added for flavor. Then, the processed version of the food can be even further broken down and even more substances can be added to the food to be considered ultra-processed. For example, we see ketchup is an example of an ultra-processed food. I, for one, did not know that before diving into this research. So, how much ultra-processed foods do you think we consume on a daily basis? A research study looked into the diets of people of Brazil. After looking at 32,000 participants who submitted two 24-hour dietary logs, they were able to determine that the people of Brazil's diets consisted of 21.5% of ultra-processed foods, which is far beyond the recommended intake according to many nutrition specialists. Cardiovascular biomarkers are a measurement of certain compounds in the bloodstream. One of the most common cardiovascular biomarkers that are measured at the doctor's office is cholesterol, and some others are listed on the slide. By measuring these biomarkers, a doctor can assess someone's risk for developing a certain cardiovascular disease. Essentially, these biomarkers are predictors, and they can be a great measurement of somebody's health. So, to draw the first connection, we can look at ultra-processed foods and obesity. In a study, participants were randomly selected by their postal codes across the United Kingdom, and they participated in the National Diet and Nutrition Survey. The participants each submitted a 4-day food diary and had background information taken. The data from the group of 6,143 individuals spanning the age of 19 to 96 found that with a 10% increase in consumption of ultra-processed foods, they observed an 18% higher chance of being obese. Now we will draw another connection between obesity and cardiovascular biomarkers. In a study, 27,158 participants who were all females who lived in the United States were participants of a women's health study from 1992 to 1995. Researchers measured their cardiovascular biomarkers such as HDLs, LDLs, fibrinogen, cholesterol, creatine, homocysteine, while also looking at their BMI and physical activity level. The data showed that while BMI and physical activity were independent of each other, having a high BMI put an individual at the greatest risk for cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and all-cause mortality, which means they most likely had weak and unhealthy lipid and inflammatory biomarkers. To put the pieces together, a British medical journal study investigated the relationship between the consumption of ultra-processed foods and poor heart health. The study spanned 5 years following 105,159 adults. On average, each adult submitted 5.7 24-hour dietary records. Researchers categorized foods based on the NOVA classification system to determine degree of processing. The study concluded that with a 10% increase in intake of processed foods, individuals experienced a 12% increase in risk for heart attack, stroke, or other serious cardiovascular events, which can all be predicted typically by measuring cardiovascular biomarkers. If I were to continue my research, I would look into the effect that cardiovascular biomarkers have on the severity of a COVID-19 infection. I think COVID-19 would be the next area of research for me because it is something that is affecting all of us at this time. Thank you.